In 2017, Episode 8 The Last Jedi was released into theaters and the Holdo maneuver was introduced, and while there are a few examples in Legends material of such a maneuver being similarly executed, though not to such a specific degree, it has not stopped the Holdo maneuver from causing a lot of controversy amongst fans. In the novelization of the movie, it is explained that the only way that the maneuver was able to be so successfully executed is because of the Radis's, the MC-85 cruiser which we see throughout the movie's experimental shields, while The Rise of Skywalker retcons this by simply saying that the move was a 1 in a million chance. However, by the end of the movie, we see above the forest moon of Endor another ship which has been blasted by a similar maneuver. The exact in-universe science which describes what precise metrics need to be in place for such a maneuver to actually be successfully executed might be a little bit fuzzy, but the question still remains. Why didn't the Rebellion or any other faction within the Star Wars universe use this? Now, we can explain away the Clone Wars as simply being two equally armed factions, and there was no need for such desperate last-ditch attempts. However, the Rebellion is chock full of several situations where the Rebellion could have easily used a one-stop, fix-all solution to the Empire. So today, I will be going through main battles of the Galactic Civil War and figuring out precisely if the Rebellion had enough strength in order to actually successfully take out the Empire, or at least cripple them to such a degree that they would be unable to actually have an engaged warfare between the Rebel Alliance. Now, it's worth noting that the Radis was a 3-kilometer long warship compared to the largest of Rebel Alliance ships, which were only 1,200 meters long. Nonetheless, we are going to be disregarding such a fact, and I'm going to be giving the Rebellion the best possible chances for success, and the Empire the least possible chances for success. Before this goes any further, I would like to state that this is not in any way a defense of The Last Jedi. It's simply something that I figured would be interesting to figure out. First, we need to look at each individual battle, and I have decided to use 6 major battles in the Galactic Civil War. The Battle of Atollon, which is featured in the Season 3 finale of Star Wars Rebels, and though not technically a part of the Galactic Civil War, it was a necessary prelude to it, and therefore I'm including it. I will also be including the Battle of Scarif, the Battle of Yavin, the Battle of Hoth, the Battle of Endor, and the Battle of Scarif. Yes, I am aware that there are several battles that I will be missing, but I'm going to be giving the Rebel Alliance a certain advantage in this that including other battles would simply be unnecessary. I am going to be multiplying ships. I have gone onto Wikipedia and looked up the schematics for each of these battles. If a certain ship, like say the Home 1, is in multiple battles, it will be counted multiple times. I'm going to get a final tally of all the ships that are included, with the exception of starfighters. I will be using frigates and up, which means something like the Millennium Falcon or the Ghost is the smallest possible ship that I will be including in this equation. At the Battle of Atollon, there are 20 ships, which I would classify as a frigate or above. At the Battle of Scarif, there are 29. The Battle of Yavin, there is only 1 with the Millennium Falcon. The Battle of Hoth, there are 41. At the Battle of Endor, there are 56. And at the Battle of Jakku, there are 85. Now, in order to get to that number, I actually wasn't able to look on Wikipedia because it did not actually cite the number of ships, it only cited the specific types of ships. So I had to look at the Aftermath trilogy for any specific numbers. So this is an approximation, but the actual number present at the battle is likely lower than this. I actually gave the Rebellion a bit more fighters. Or a bit more cruisers, that is. It's cited that there are 20 MC-85 Home 1 type cruisers. I figured that there would be at least the same amount of Liberty type cruisers, along with, of course, 3 Starhawks, the Millennium Falcon, and I wanted to add a little bit extra because it is said that there is a number of support craft like the Nebulon B or the Blockade Runner. So that is what I did. Next, we need to look precisely at the Holdo maneuver as seen in Episode 8, The Last Jedi, and count precisely how many ships were taken out by the initial wave. Now, unless the shots are repeating from different angles, then I was able to count 14 Star Destroyers being completely shredded by the Holdo maneuver, with the Supremacy being the initial breaking point of the cruiser. If we add together the number of ships from every battle which we have tallied, that brings the total to 232 cruisers. Now, multiply that by 15 Star Destroyers, again, assuming that they can all take out the exact same amount, and we get to 3,000 3,480 ships taken out if every single ship in the Rebel Alliance were to perform the Holdo maneuver to the exact same degree that the Radis did with Admiral Holdo in charge. Next, we need to know precisely what we will be dividing this by, as in how many Imperial ships are there? Well, the Empire at its height had 25,000 Star Destroyers, and that is what we are going to be using. I'm not going to be counting any Gazanti cruisers, some light carriers, or any light cruisers that would have been seen. I'm not going to be counting interdictors. I'm not going to be counting battle stations, and I certainly won't be counting Executor-class Super Star Destroyers. We are specifically going to be counting the number of Imperial II-class Star Destroyers that the Empire had at their height. That means that I need to divide the total number of ships taken out if the entire Rebel Alliance pulled the Holdo maneuver with every available ship, that being 3,480, dividing that by 25,000, which brings us to the percentage of 13.92%, meaning that if every available ship in the Rebel Alliance were to perform a Holdo maneuver to the exact same degree that Admiral Holdo was able to perform, only 13.92% of the Empire's total amount of Star Destroyers would have been successfully destroyed, meaning that there is no situation where the Rebel Alliance could have successfully used a Holdo maneuver to actually take out the Empire. I know that there was a lot of criticism as saying that the Rebel Alliance could have used this against the Death Star. Perhaps that is possible. However, I would like to mention, had the Rebel Alliance used a Holdo maneuver in any more than one instance, it is very likely that the Empire would have started putting interdictors in their fleets to pull ships out of hyperspace that were attempting to ram. The second issue with this theory is, of course, that a Star Destroyer, a single Imperial I-class Star Destroyer, was thought to be enough to blockade an entire planet. A planet as significant and important as Scarif only had 2 Star Destroyers, and it was very rare that you would actually see multiple Star Destroyers grouped together. Therefore, if the Rebel Alliance were to pull a Holdo maneuver, what we would likely see is something that happened in The Rise of Skywalker, where there is a single ship taken out by a Holdo maneuver, rather than have an entire fleet decimated by a Holdo maneuver. So, the Holdo maneuver in and of itself might be a bit out of pocket and a bit strange to just throw into a movie, but the idea that the Rebel Alliance could have used this in any way to an effective measure is simply not actually possible. Again, this is not in any way a defense for The Last Jedi. I still don't like that movie. This is just some interesting math that I thought some people might like to see. There's really not a lot of Star Wars content, so I'm a little bit struggling to find anything to put up on YouTube. I said this on Instagram, but I am going to be switching to a 2-week release schedule. I'm in my senior year of undergrad, and right now getting my bachelor's degree is way more important than making YouTube videos. I do love it, and I will be continuing to make YouTube videos for y'all. However, it is going to be at less frequent of an interval, as I have previously over the summer been doing 1-week intervals. This will likely change from Thanksgiving to New Year's, as I'll be on an entire break, so it'll be a lot easier to make videos every week, but for the remainder of this semester, I am going to be going to a 2-week release schedule. Thank you all for watching. Comment below your thoughts. Did you enjoy the Holdo maneuver, and did you at least want to see it somewhere else in the saga? Comment your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you again next time.